Today we're ranking every star player under the age of 25. But there's a problem. Since the league has gotten so much younger, there's way more rising stars than you think. So make sure to stick around until the end to see which guys got snubbed from the list. Let's get it. Welcome back to another edition of the Hampton Show. Joel, how are we feeling today?
I'm feeling great. We're going to do NBA top players under 25 years old, the top 25. Let me just say in advance, I don't mean to be controversial, but I won't hold back my opinion just because it might be controversial, and we're going to get into it today.
Absolutely. You never have been a one to hold back your opinion. Today, like we said, we are ranking the top 25 players under 25. But first, we're going to start with that game we played last week called Fill in the Blank, where I say an NBA-related phrase, and Joel completes that sentence. The first one up is right on brand with the topic later in this podcast. It is about breakout teams. So, Joel, the 2026 breakout team in the NBA will be blank.
Man, I'm really leaning towards the Toronto Raptors, but I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go with the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs are going to be, without a doubt, a breakout team. They're going to make the NBA playoffs this upcoming year after missing it last year. It led by Victor Wembanyama and his greatness. And, I'm sure that on the top 25 under 25 list, you have him number one. That's what I'm assuming. So he is that talented. He is that special. And with De'Aaron Fox getting paid, having security, he's going to give his best effort this upcoming year. Dylan Harper going on podcasts and saying James Harden came off the bench for the first 3 to 4 years. He's all bought into his role being the backup guard. And the San Antonio Spurs, they're ready to shock everybody.
We'll see. In 2022, this team was the Memphis Grizzlies. Obviously, I have to bring up them. 2023, it was the Sacramento Kings. 2024, last year, you can name the Houston Rockets. You can point at the Detroit Pistons. I do agree with you. The San Antonio Spurs seem like the most likely breakout team this year. So that's my answer as well. The final fill in the blank is the first NBA coach to get fired this season will be blank.
I'm curious to see where you're at with this one.
I put Willie Green. Joe Dumars did not hire him. Willie Green will 100% be the first guy they blame when they are 10 games under 500 at Christmas. Nick Nurse was another name I mentioned as well.
Those are some good options. I think I'm going to lean with you right there with them. I can't see anybody else. I think there's too many teams that are safe that might underachieve, but still are going to keep their head coach. The Bucks, I can't see Doc Rivers getting fired midseason, even if they're really bad. The Bulls, Billy Donovan, same thing. I think he has long-term security in Chicago. So I think the teams that you mentioned are valid. I think Willie Green has had more than enough time to try to build something in New Orleans. And unfortunately, the team has been unhealthy. But I can see that being probably the most viable candidate. And if they underachieve this season, he probably is going to be out at head coach.
Yeah, I think in any other circumstance, Doc Rivers would be on that hot seat. But for whatever reason, Giannis has this ultra close connection with him. That was actually a selling point in the Bucks pitching Giannis over the summer was Doc Rivers for whatever reason. So as long as Giannis is there and he wants Doc Rivers there, I believe he will be there. The next segment is a little new before we get into top 25 under 25. I'm going to name an NBA player, Joel, and you're going to tell me if they will go under or over their projected points per game in 2026. First one is a guy you've already mentioned in this podcast, Victor Wembanyama. The number I put on him was 29.5 points per game. Over or under that?
Under. Averaging 30? I don't know about that. I think that when you have an all-star guard as gifted as De'Aaron Fox, he takes a big scoring load off you. I see 27 a night for Wemby. I see him close to hitting that number, but not hitting that number quite just yet.
100% agree. Next one up is Kevin Durant, 27 points per game in Houston.
This should be over. He should average 28 a night. Given the Rockets' offensive supporting cast, he's going to be the primary shot creator. Unless Amen Thompson takes a leap in his game and bumps his scoring average to 18, close to 20 a night, I really can't see Kevin Durant going under this number. Or Şengün takes a leap and he becomes more efficient around the rim and more efficient as a player overall. I can see it, but I'm going to bank on KD scoring.
For those two reasons you named, Şengün, Amen Thompson, I see them both taking a leap. I'm taking the under. He averaged under this last year, I believe, is like 26.6. And this is a more talented team, I feel like, in Houston. Even though, yes, you can point to Booker and Beal on Phoenix, I think the shots are going to be a little bit more spread out on a team that's this deep. Next one, Ja Morant, 25.5.
I'm going under. I think the assist numbers for him can rise up with this pick and roll heavy system their new coach is trying to implement. But I'm going under on this number. He has averaged more than this before in the past. I won't
Yep.
rule it out that he averages 26 or 27 a night, but I'm going under on this.
You can't even say it with a straight face. I'm going over. You just named the new pick and roll offense. That's why he goes over this number. Not to mention, this is the first healthy offseason he's had in 3 years. Desmond Bain is not there. Those points have to go somewhere. This is an easy over for me. Final one is your projected MVP for 2026. It's Luka Doncic. 30 and a half on him, over under.
I'm gonna go over. I think he needs to have a spectacular season for the Lakers to be one of the best teams in the Western Conference, and I think he will have that. LeBron James, as long as he's there, he's gonna be bought in. And Austin Reeves is a great third option as a scorer, but Luka Doncic is going to be without a doubt the guy there, and he's going to make his imprint in LA this upcoming year.
Completely agree with everything you just said. Before we get into top 25, under 25, we're going to start with 25 through 20 and work our way up. Joel, do you want to talk about any of the snubs or the guys you had to leave off this list? Were there any names that stood out to you?
Yeah, so you see, I have my notebook here, and that's where I wrote all my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just crossing names out and having a very intuitive process for this. So I take this very seriously. And my honorable mentions were Jaden McDaniels, Tari Eason, Derek Lively, Khalil Ware, Walker Kessler, Jared McCain, and I didn't feel good about leaving him off. I only projected one rookie to be on here, and that was Dylan Harper. I left him off. I don't feel good about it thinking about it now, but those were my honorable mentions and players that I snubbed.
Interesting. Interesting. I can't wait to get into where I have Jaden McDaniels, but we'll save that for later.
Okay.
My honorable mentions: Jalen Suggs, Jalen Duran, Alexander Sarr, Tari Eason, Keegan Murray, Derek Lively, Shaden Sharp, Cam Thomas, Ben Matherin, Jaden Ivey, Christian Brown, Devin Vassell, and Jonathan Kaminga. Joel, you want to kick us off 25 through 20?
25 is the reigning rookie of the year, Stephon Castle. And the reason why he is not higher is because I think his numbers were a bit inflated due to the situation and his usage rate. And I don't think that is going to be his usage rate this upcoming year. That's as simple as that. He played on the ball. De'Aaron Fox was unhealthy. Victor Wembanyama was out. And he basically had a 30% usage. And that's how he was able to stack up these numbers. But how does he look like in a complementary role? And that's what I want to figure out. How does he improve as a shooter? Can he be efficient off the ball? Can he be a team's primary defensive player, point of attack, and lock opposing offensive players down? I think those are the things that I have question marks after his rookie season. And he, to me, is more of a role player than what his usage indicated. Number 24 is a player on a championship winning team, and that's Cason Wallace. I had Wallace over Stephon Castle for those two reasons I laid out that Stephon Castle could have proven. I think Cason Wallace is a good shooter and has improved in that area. I think he is an elite point of attack defender, and I think he's a starting point guard. He would start on so many teams, but he's on OKC. He's coming off their bench, and that's why he's not starting, but he's legitimately such a phenomenal player. Number 23, Jabari Smith Jr. I just love his size, his ability to rebound, stretch the floor, the toughness he plays with. I think he's the perfect role player in the modern NBA. Number 22, I had Jalen Suggs. He's dealing with injury problems as of recently, but a big reason why the Magic's defense has been elite and did make the playoffs in 23 and the 24 season is because of Jalen Suggs and what he brings. And I want to see him get back to his 36% mark that he hit in 2022, 2023. I think it might have been even higher than that, but I want to see him become more of a reliable shooter. This past year, he dipped down, making me question just how good of a shooter he really is. But that's going to be huge for his development and how he complements the players on the Magic. Number 21, Donovan Clingan. I already think he is a game changer defensively. He's one of the best big defenders in the NBA. And I think being able to anchor one side of the floor is very valuable. So that's why I have him there. And number 20 is another big man, and it's Jalen Duran. I think his improvement went under the radar last season. How well he improved defensively, number one for the Detroit Pistons, He's already one of the best rebounders in the league and his touch around the rim. And he is somebody that he has the handle to take opposing centers off the dribble and create for himself from time to time in that paint area. So those are my 25 to 20 players. And that's that.
No disagreements so far. At 25, I have Josh Giddey. Came on late last year, still waiting on that paycheck. I want to see more from him scoring wise than anything. He rebounds the ball very well. Obviously, passing is the strongest part of his game, but I want to see consistent big numbers from him moving forward. Azar Thompson's a guy I put at 24. It's more of an upside thing for me. I think his physicals and everything he brought to Detroit was a big reason they succeeded last year. At 23, it was hard for me to put him this low, but Zachary Reese-Shea is a guy I have at 23. He did have a couple scoring outbursts. I expect more from him this season. At 22, I have his teammate Jalen Johnson. Bounced back from an injury. Hopefully he can build on the last couple years. And at 21, I have one of your favorite players, almost of all time, Jabari Smith at number 21. And I'll stop at 20 and let you go 20 through 16.
Reese-Shea and Giddey snubs for me. I don't feel the worst about not having them on here, but I can definitely understand and I could see the case for them. And they have arguments over people that I do have on there. 19 to 15, I have Brandon Miller at 19, my MIP pick. I think he's such a phenomenally gifted scorer, and I think he's going to break out this upcoming year if he stays healthy. Number 18, and this is where I was trying to go more so, what have you done for me, more so than projection based. I really only projected with one player on here, and I'm assuming that's Cooper Flagg. But number 19 was Brandon Miller. Number 18 is Dyson Daniels. And the reason why I have more of a Brandon Miller is because he already gives you defensive player of the year level impact on defense. And he's a player who averages 14 points on offense, 5 to 6 assists on offense as well. So he adds that playmaking, that ball handling aspect to his game. And I just think that right now, if you're asking me, would you rather Dyson Daniels or Brandon Miller? I'm probably going with the elite level defender who can shut down opposing offensive players. Number 17 was Ausar Thompson, who I actually swapped with Dyson Daniels at 18. So Dyson is over Ausar. I made that correction with an arrow on my list. So Dyson's at 17, Ausar Thompson's at 18. Amen Thompson is higher than Ausar, and I know a lot of people always have the question of, what do they do so differently? Ausar and Amen are identical twins. They should play the same. Amen is just more gifted with the ball in his hands and can do more with more added on-ball responsibility, where Ausar Thompson is more of an off-ball player, a cutter. He needs to improve that spot-up shooting, and I think that's where he thrives. Defensively, they're around the same, but offensively, they have very different play styles, and that's why Amen's ceiling is higher. Number 16 is where I had Cooper Flagg. This is my only projection on the list. I just think that his rookie season can be more impactful and can already surpass everybody that I mentioned. And number 15 is Deni Avdija. I feel like if you get Cooper Flagg's rookie year stats being identical to what Deni Avdija did last season, you're calling it a great rookie of the year, probably winning rookie of the year. So that's why I didn't have him over Deni Avdija, but I feel like that's his bracket in terms of the range of outcomes for his stats this year.
Got you. Only disagreement I had with that, Brandon Miller felt a little low. Understand why you have him that low as well. At 20, I got Stephon Castle. At 19, I have Jaden McDaniels. I can't comprehend why he was snubbed off your list. Everybody I have below him, Zachary Reese-Shea, Jalen Johnson, Josh Giddey, Jabari Smith Jr., Ausar Thompson. I would rather have this version of Jaden McDaniels right now because I feel like he's the most underrated part of that Timberwolves team. Yes, Anthony Edwards is an absolute superstar atop this list, but because Jaden McDaniels has been such a stronghold defensively for them, you can afford to have a Julius Randle on the roster. I think he is a crucial part of them going to back-to-back Western Conference Finals. That's why I have him at 19. At 18, I have Deni Avdija. At 17, Dyson Daniels. Nothing against Denny. I need to see a little bit more defensively for me to value what he has done in Portland over what Dyson Daniels has done for multiple franchises now. At 16, I have Brandon Miller. I believe what I saw in the small sample size that I saw it in. Brandon Miller had an incredible rookie year, was injured for most of the year last year. I expect that third year leap from B Mill. He still is a superstar talent, in my opinion, and can be a multiple time All Star in this league. At 15, I'm with you. My only projection on this list is Cooper Flagg at 19 years old. But it's safe to say that this year, Cooper Flagg can have a similar season to a Brandon Miller, a similar season to a Denny Advia, and everybody below him.
That's fair with Jaden McDaniels. He averaged 18.5 points in February. And the offensive leap that he took was real. I think that he is a timid offensive player. He's very passive. And when there are other players around him that are gifted offensive players like Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle, he tends to defer and not look for his own offense. But in the playoffs, he averages 14. He brings elite level defense. He has been a major part to that team. I would have him over a couple players. Like thinking about it now, if I'd rather McDaniels or Suggs, I think that's a pretty easy conversation, or Case and Wallace. So I probably would have Jaden McDaniels on this list. Number 14 to 11, then I'll get into the top 10 after you go to your 14 through 11. Number 14, I have Jalen Johnson. I believe what I saw before he got hurt, 19, 10, and 5. He's a do-it-all forward, high flyer, is a good defender. I think Jalen Johnson, if the Hawks make a run this year, it's going to be because of a leap that he takes in this game. Number 13, maybe I was a little bit low on him, but I think that I'm just low on smaller scoring guards. That's Tyrese Maxey. I understand the unbelievable highs that we've seen from him in the postseason, but his splits on and off, his efficiency without Joel Embiid kind of show me that he can't carry the load of an offense and do it at a really high level. And the Sixers lose games all the time when Embiid's not playing. And I understand that's their best player, but if you are one of the best players under 25, you are a player for the most part that I think can carry a franchise and your performance can lead to victories.
Don't do that.
And with Tyrese Maxey, I mean, I don't want to do a apples to apples comparison because it's not an exact comparison.
And don't do it.
But the only difference between Tyrese Maxey and Cam Thomas averaging 26 for bad teams is that Tyrese Maxey is more liked. I think Maxey is a better playmaker than him. I'm not going to deny that, but it's not like Tyrese Maxey is a true point guard who can be the main playmaker of your offense. And defensively, he's 6'2" and he can't guard. He tries, but he's a smaller guard. He's a 6'2"
Cam Thomas can't guard either.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that they're both gifted scorers, and the only difference between Cam Thomas being viewed as a complete negative and Tyrese Maxey being viewed as a positive and this budding superstar is the fact that he's had some playoff moments, which I'm not denying were exceptional playoff moments. But at the end of the day, like, I just don't know how far you can get with Tyrese Maxey being your best player and Tyrese Maxey even being your second best player. I have doubts about that.
The only difference is one is more likable than the other. I got another difference. One has scored 46 in a playoff game against your New York Knicks. You should know this better than anybody. And don't do the Joel Embiid, I know he's out or whatever, but they're still not winning anything. Who is his backup been? They haven't had a viable backup big on that roster when Tyrese Maxey can't carry that with Paul George on here. Tobias Harris is not there anymore. The team around Tyrese Maxey is the problem. It's not Tyrese Maxey. There is a multitude of differences between him and Cam Thomas.
Here's why I get pissed off with what you just said. I get pissed off because you are sympathizing with Tyrese Maxey. What is he supposed to do with this talent around him? What is Cam Thomas supposed to do with the talent around him in Brooklyn? That's all I'm saying.
Pass the ball? That's what he's supposed to do.
He has improved as a passer. Cam Thomas, and I hate when people say he's empty numbers because Cam Thomas in isolation was one of the 3 best isolation players in terms of points per possession in the NBA this past season. In terms of pick and roll ball handler efficiency, he was top 10 in points per possession. He was leading efficient offenses for himself individually. And I understand he's a black hole on defense. I think Tyrese Maxey is a black hole on defense too. I understand that Cam Thomas doesn't really pass. Tyrese Maxey is a better passer than Cam Thomas, but overall, he can't be your main focal point offensively. And that's why I have him at 13. And that's why I have more defensive slanted players that can also produce offense over him on this list.
This boils down to one thing. One guy is sitting here with a 9-figure contract and the other one is not. I think if Cam Thomas was in Tyrese Maxey's position on a team that expects to win playoff games, he would have not gotten the same contract that Tyrese Maxey did. Not even close.
I'm not denying that Tyrese Maxey is better than Cam Thomas. I don't have Cam Thomas in my top 25 for a reason. I am just saying smaller guards, 6'2", that average 26 to 27 a night on bad efficiency, I'm not the highest on. And I know Maxey has been efficient in the past when he's fed off the gravity of Joel Embiid. But when he has his own team and he's asked to be efficient, he was not efficient. Quentin Grimes was more efficient in his 21 games with the Sixers this past year when they were complete garbage than Tyrese Maxey was.
So let me just get this straight. Tyrese Maxey, from the time he has been drafted, he got drafted into a team with expectations with Ben Simmons on it. Ben Simmons, everything goes south. They have no idea what's going to happen going into training camp. Tyrese Maxey's coming off a rookie year having to play in a system that revolves around Ben Simmons. He moves on. James Harden comes in. He learns to play next to James Harden and produce next to James Harden. James Harden, the situation happens with him. James Harden demands a trade. Tyrese Maxey, I know all summer you trained to play next to 2 All-NBA caliber stars, but now it's your turn to be in the fire. The co-star to Joel Embiid. He lives up to it. He not only lives up to it, he has a 46-point playoff game in Madison Square Garden in 2024. Then they go out and trade Paul George, who at the time they thought was still an all-star caliber player. So now Tyrese Maxey, going in and out of roles, has figured out how to produce, not only how to produce, but average what you just said. That to me is why I have him in my top 10. He is not comparable to a guy like Cam Thomas.
See, this is why I disagree with you. This is not even about Cam Thomas anymore. This is about having him in the top 10. I don't have him in the top 10 because I think every player that I'm going to have in the top 10 does more than him and is more impactful to winning. Tyrese Maxey, across 112 games without Joel Embiid, has averaged 24 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds, but he shot 41% from the floor and 25% from 3. His efficiency plummets when he is asked to carry the offensive load. It is not efficient offense when he is the primary option. And that is my concern with him. Listen, as a secondary option, there's no doubt I want Tyrese Maxey, but if you are not great enough to anchor either side of the floor, he can't be an anchor offensively, he can't be an anchor defensively, then his value to me is going to be lower than the players I have over him.
It hasn't been a fair judgment to say he can anchor this team. Like, I don't expect Cam Thomas to go out there and win. I don't expect Tyrese Maxey with a decimated roster to go out there and anchor an offense to win.
So do you think Tyrese Maxey can anchor an offense by himself?
In a team that's built around him? Absolutely.
And you would want to build a team around Tyrese Maxey?
I'm not saying I would want to. I think the Grizzlies are a good comp. If I put him in Ja Morant's position, I think that team would be competitive in the Western Conference.
I think you guys would miss the playoffs.
I'll call it a play-in team. I have the Grizzlies finishing 8th, and that's a stretch for the NBA media world.
And I think worse with Maxey.
Yeah, I think 9-10.
And that's why, to me, it's like, if that's your best player, how far is it getting you? And I understand the same could be said for other players I have on the list, because there's one that I have over him that maybe you could argue is projection, but that's why I'm lower on Maxey and why he's not in my top 10.
I'm just glad I got you to move off the Cam Thomas comp. That's what I'm glad about.
Oh, no, listen, it's just about small guards who score a lot of points.
But your name stopped coming out of the mouth.
They're perceived differently. They're perceived differently when they play for the Nets versus the Sixers. If you average 26 on the Nets, you're empty stats, you're garbage. If you average 27 on a team that just got a top 5 pick. You're the savior. You're a franchise player.
Nope. Because it's not just in that. I already listed the 4 different environments he has averaged great numbers in.
So we're not going to mention in the playoffs how he was part of the playoff collapse with the Sixers up 3-2 against the Boston Celtics. He did nothing in that moment. We're not going to mention when they played against the Knicks, he was inefficient in half of those games in that playoff series. We're just going to mention the highs, but we're not going to mention the lows. We're not mentioning no.
We're not going to mention Cam Thomas sitting here unsigned in August. That's what we're talking about. The comp is not there. Yes, the comp is not there.
And I think if the Sixers had to pay Tyrese Maxey this year, they probably would have not done it.
That is utterly ridiculous.
They wouldn't have had cap space to do it. That's what all I'm saying.
That's why they did it last summer. That's why they did it last summer.
And the reason why nobody's paid Cam Thomas is because they don't have cap space, but also this has been the offseason that NBA teams have collectively.
The Nets had cap space. They had the most cap space in the league.
This is what I'm saying. This has been the offseason where NBA teams collectively have given up on high volume scoring guards. Cam Thomas, Anthony Simons, you name it. This has been the offseason the NBA collectively has said that is not very valuable to us.
Tyrese Maxey's valuable to the 76ers. His paycheck says it, but that's okay. Continue.
Okay. Number 12, I have Amen Thompson for the very reason that I mentioned earlier. He can anchor a side of the ball. He is an elite defensive player. And when he started, he averaged 17 points. Amen Thompson has all NBA level potential if that shot improves, or even if he becomes more comfortable as a ball handler and attacking downhill and becoming more of a point guard. I think Amen Thompson is already one of the most malleable players in the league. He can fit with anybody, and the shot is really just what needs to come along. And number 11 is a player that the NBA world is low on. It's Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes is an all-NBA caliber defender. Scotty Barnes can give you 20 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists. He's a better playmaker than Tyrese Maxey. I think the difference between their offensive games is that Tyrese Maxey is a shot creator, and I don't think Scotty Barnes is a shot creator. I think Scotty Barnes needs to pick his spots better, and that offensive game needs to improve. But the fact that he is so gifted defensively, the fact that he has the tools, 6'9", big jumbo wing that can pass the ball, that can finish around the rim efficiently. You know, this was a player who people thought was virtually a zero offensively coming into the league, and he's averaged 20 multiple seasons now. He's already been an all-star. I think Scotty Barnes has kind of gotten a little bit underrated as his career has went along, because Toronto is, for the most part, not on anybody's radar. But yes, I think Scotty Barnes is over Tyrese Maxey.
Nobody's arguing. Continue.
Okay. All right. And that's my 14 through 11.
Okay. I haven't heard LaMelo Ball's name yet, which is concerning. But
okay.
That I would definitely argue with Tyrese Maxey, but whenever that time comes, you know, if you have him at 10, 9,
he might not even be on my list.
6. Could be. All right, at 14, I have Jalen Green right ahead of Cooper Flagg. At 13, I have Scotty Barnes.
Jalen Green?
Yeah, Jalen Green's on this list.
There's no way. Okay, see, now I know where the Tyrese Maxey love comes from. You're a Jalen Green fan. It all makes sense.
He's in the middle of this list. He's not even cracking the top 10.
Even though I think Tyrese Maxey is way better than Jalen Green. Let me just make that clear. I think he's way better than Jalen Green.
Agreed.
But it's clear that you have a type, and it's clear that you believe in empty numbers when they're not efficient. And that's Jalen Green. Jalen Green is a average starting guard, a top 25 player under 25, when so many players do things better than him.
Jalen Green is better than Josh Giddey. Jalen Green is better than Stephon Castle right now. Jalen Green is better than Zachary Risachet right now. He is better than Brandon Miller right now. This is not that crazy.
Thompson?
Yes, right now he is better than Asar Thompson.
I'd rather have he's not better than.
Now, if we're doing this list in August of 2026, that's probably not the case. I'm making the list right now.
I wouldn't have Jalen Green over Case and Wallace.
I'm not here to stand on Jalen Green's case like I'm standing on Tyrese Maxey, because Tyrese Maxey is not 10. He's in my top 10. But Jalen Green's a guy I have at 14 in the middle of this list, when at the time he was drafted, we expected him to be in the top 5 in 2025 in this category. I'm low on Jalen Green just like everybody else. I'm just not going to sit here and call him an average starting guard. That's not what I'm going to do.
He is. Did you mention Jalen Johnson already?
Yes.
And Jalen Green's over Jalen Johnson?
Right now, I think Jalen Green is better than Jalen Johnson.
Oh my goodness. No, I can name like 15 shooting guards I'd rather start than Jalen Green.
We don't have time for that today. I'll keep moving. Scotty Barnes, I have ahead of Jalen Green.
Okay, good. I like it.
LaMelo Ball, I have at 12, behind
Mm-hmm.
Tyrese Maxey, well behind Tyrese Maxey.
Well behind.
LaMelo is a guy who's averaged 30 in this league. That's why I gave him the nudge over Scotty. Scotty, in every other facet, is better than LaMelo Ball. But something about Melo, I think he still has the star power. I'm still a believer. That's why he cracked my top 12. Your favorite player, Franz Wagner, is who I have at 11. Now, I understand you may have him a lot higher than this. You are in fantasy land where you have him probably ranked above his teammate, Paolo Banchero, even though that's not even close to the truth. But that is my 14 through 11, so we can crack your top 10.
Okay, I love that you mentioned that. You gave the audience already. You've revealed my hand. I'll never forgive you for that. Actually, you revealed my hand with the audience. They now know something that was supposed to be a surprise, and I don't like when
It's
people.
not a surprise they listen to this podcast.
I don't like people that ruin surprises, Jack. I don't. But okay, number 10, I have Chet Holmgren. Chet Holmgren, defensive player of the year caliber defender. He can anchor a defense, and I think his injury this past season limited his offensive attack. But to start the year, he was exceptional offensively, and even throughout the playoff run that OKC just went on, while he was inefficient offensively, OKC's on-off numbers with him were astronomically good. And the reason for that is because what he brings on defense. So I think right now, it's not even projection based. Right now, I think Chet is one of the best players to build around. And if that offense becomes better, I mean, we're talking about somebody that's going to do some serious damage to the league. And that's why OKC is so scary and why nobody comes close to them in the West, by the way.
That's why Denver's on the same level.
Number 9 is Alperen Şengün. I just favor him over Chet. And I think Alperen Şengün was the Rockets' best player. He was the best player on the second seed, took the Warriors to 7 games, had maybe Jalen Green showed up. You know, maybe they could have won that series, but he only showed up for one game. He was, playing hide and seek for the other ones. He didn't show up. But Alperen Şengün's major improvement to me came on defense this past season. I think in the playoffs, defending all the motion that the Warriors have on offense really showed me a lot of that he is not a liability on defense. He is not Domantas Sabonis on defense. He can move his feet, he can test, and he's a very smart defensive player who understands where to be positioning wise. And then offensively, what he can do as a passer, what he can do as a hub, his post game, little old school, but I'm very high on him. And the fact that this was his only season being an inefficient scorer gives me a lot of optimism that next season he can become much more efficient. And this is a player giving you 21, 10, and 6. I just love Alperen Şengün's game, and I don't think he's reached anywhere near his ceiling. And I'll let you go 9 and 10.
At number 10, I have Alperen Şengün. To me, I'd clearly rather have Chet Holmgren on my team. Conversation for later. At 9, this is where I have Tyrese Maxey. He's a franchise guy. He's a 9-figure player. He is a guy who has not only survived, but thrived in multiple different star-studded environments, in multiple different playoff big moments, especially in New York, where Joel is sitting right now. But yeah, that is my 9 and 10. Alperen Şengün at 10, Tyrese Maxey at 9.
Okay, I like that. So on to my 8 and 7. Number 8, well, I'll just go 8 to 6, actually. That'd be more interesting. Number 8, I have LaMelo Ball. And this is where you're probably going to disagree with me because you think like Tyrese Maxey and LaMelo's case is similar. The reason why it's not similar is because Tyrese Maxey is 6'2" and LaMelo Ball is 6'7". I think LaMelo's size automatically gives him the edge to be a better defender if he's in a good environment. And I think we cannot just under-discuss the environment that LaMelo Ball has been in. I have in the past called LaMelo the most overrated player in the NBA because the perception of him is different than the reality of him, but the reality of him is still a great player. And
You're the one overrating him, though.
No, the reason why I called him overrated was because people had LaMelo Ball over Tyrese Maxey heading into last season. Over Tyrese Halliburton heading into last season. I mixed them up. They're both names, first name Tyrese. And I never thought, despite the counting stats, LaMelo impacted winning more than Tyrese Halliburton. And I was proven right with the playoff run Tyrese Halliburton had, and I've always been a believer in Halliburton. But LaMelo Ball, the reason why I have him over Tyrese Maxey is I think he's a better scorer than him. I think he's a way better playmaker. I think the playmaking gap between the two is astronomical. And the size that he has just gives him an advantage to not only rebound the ball better, but also defend better. And I think the environment he's been in has really held him back as a player. He has not been in a winning environment. But if he played
the
next
environment's held him back. It's not him. Okay.
It's the Charlotte Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets have held everybody back. What are we talking about?
Can we talk about
here?
his shot selection? Can we do that?
Yes, let's talk about his shot selection. It is poor. I'm not saying it's not poor. There are things in LaMelo's game that needs to be refined, but it's hard to have that refinement when you don't have good coaching or good teammates around you. Had he played next to Joel Embiid and learned under James Harden, like, you don't think LaMelo is a completely different player right now? Yes, I think he is.
No, I don't.
I do think he is. Yeah, absolutely, I think he is.
So let me get this straight. You have LaMelo Ball over Scotty Barnes.
Yes.
Alperen Şengün.
Yes.
Tyrese Maxey.
Yes.
And Chet Holmgren.
Yes.
That is blasphemous.
LaMelo Ball, if you're telling me here's a good situation, you need a player to be your offensive engine for that situation, I'm taking him over Chet, Şengün, Maxey, Scotty Barnes. I'm taking LaMelo. The Hornets were plus 9 points better with LaMelo on the court this past year. They had LaMelo's on and off was plus 9. They were so bad. LaMelo's on and off last year, his point differential plus 9.5 was in the 93rd percentile. They basically were competent with LaMelo, and then when he left, they were the worst team in the NBA. And I know they were already bad, but to start the season, the Hornets were a very entertaining basketball team, and it's because he was playing incredibly well. I think that he has a higher ceiling than all of the players that we named. And
what was their record? You call him entertaining, but you're sitting here saying Tyrese can't shoulder. You would build around him? Would you build around LaMelo?
What a difference!
That's where it's gotten you.
The difference is that this past season, LaMelo was plus 9.5 and Tyrese was plus 5.3.
Okay.
The differential with LaMelo was better.
I'm not low on LaMelo. In fact, I was scared to put him at 12. I thought that would be way above. I was expected to come on here and have to argue him against Scotty Barnes, argue him
absolutely
against.
not. LaMelo needs to be in a good organization, and I believe in his talent. I think that the most obvious superstar is in front of our faces, and that's LaMelo Ball if he ever gets into a good situation. Like, I think LaMelo is that gifted and that talented, and this isn't a player that's done nothing. It's not like a Steph Curry breakout where Steph Curry in his first 3 seasons had ankle injuries, but he was dropping every year points per game wise where, you doubted whether or not he'd be sustainable long term. Like, Steph Curry was the most random superstar that birthed out of nowhere. His rookie year, 17.5 points. That was great. Second year, 18.6. That was great. Third year, 14.7. After Steph Curry's third year, a lot of people were out on Steph Curry too. And I think that right now people are starting to be out on LaMelo Ball. And I'm like, hey, not so fast. I think he can shoulder an offensive load. He just needs to be in a good situation. I worry that won't happen in Charlotte. But LaMelo in a good situation, I think can be a winning basketball player. Yes, I do.
I am with you. I am still a believer in his talent. I would rather have him on my team than Scotty Barnes. But you yourself just mentioned Alperen Şengün being the best player on a number 2 seed.
Yes.
Right now, I would rather have Şengün on my team than LaMelo Ball.
Well, if
I would rather have Tyrese Maxey. I would rather have Chet Holmgren.
I just disagree. It might be different for the Chet thing, but if I had a 1-for-1 swap on the table and I'm the Sixers, Maxey for LaMelo, I'd take it in a heartbeat. I wouldn't even think about it.
Okay. Similar players, similar output.
Yeah, one is just 6'7", a better playmaker, and rebounds better. Yes, that's why he's 100%. Better than Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah. It's a close argument, but I'm not sitting here having LaMelo in the top 7 or 8.
And with the Rockets, if I did a 1-for-1 swap, Şengün for LaMelo, I think the only thing you're worried about is health. He needs to stay healthy because over the past 3 seasons, 47 games played, 22 games played, 36 games played. The major gripe is health. But if we're talking about health, if you're healthy,
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have LaMelo with the men with KD and start Steven Adams or Clint Capella and like just ride out with that team.
But
It's not
Joel,
fun.
you can't sit here and be so down on Joel Embiid, rightfully so. I am too. But we're talking about a guy here who's played a combined 58 games the last 2 seasons. In 2 seasons, he's played 58 games total.
The difference is that LaMelo Ball
One's an
doesn't
MVP.
have a major injury. He doesn't have an ACL injury. He doesn't have an Achilles injury. These are nagging injuries that he's had.
It's
This not nothing
ankles
serious.
over, it's ankle, lower leg injuries over and over
But
and over
it's
again.
not a major injury. Embiid has had surgeries on both knees already.
Okay.
Embiid is essentially cooked from a health perspective. And I hate to say it, but
Yeah,
that's just the reality of the situation. He didn't play his first 3 years in the NBA because of the injury risk to him and because of his health.
but it's not out of the possibility that everybody wants to point at Ja and be like, that's just who he is. We don't know who he's going to play. Ja played 50 games last year. And LaMelo, a guy who's played 50 games in 2 years, I'm just saying it's worth asking the question. Maybe that's just who he is.
I don't think so. I disagree with you. I don't think that's who he is. I think
Okay.
he'll get healthy.
Okay, fair. Let's move on.
So now here's where I have the teammates. I have Paolo Banchero at 7, and I have Franz Wagner at 6.
Let's see how you
And
spin this.
I think that had Franz Wagner been the first overall pick and Paolo been the 8th overall pick, we're not having this debate. I think the only reason why Paolo is still viewed as better than Franz Wagner is because he was drafted higher than Franz Wagner. And because he was drafted higher than Franz Wagner, the Magic have clearly prioritized him to be their franchise face rather than Franz Wagner. Paolo Banchero, all 3 years in his career, has had a negative point differential for the Orlando Magic. His rookie year, it was -4. His second year, it was -9.1. His third year, it was -2.7. Not even getting into the numbers because it's a big crux of my argument, but just to argue why I think the numbers reflect that way. Number one, I think Paolo Banchero, to put it lightly, is a ball hog. I think the ball stops with him. He reminds me a lot of Carmelo Anthony, and not that Carmelo Anthony was a bad player by any stretch of the imagination, but Carmelo Anthony, when he had the ball, everybody would stand. You'd watch him jab step for 5-6 seconds, then settle for a tough mid-range jump shot. And that is what Paolo's game is. Paolo has the talent to play much bigger and to play to his size, actually. 6'10". He weighs a ton. He has a lot of strength. He can get downhill at will. But for whatever reason, he has taken an abundance of mid-range shots to the point that I don't think it is beneficial for his efficiency. And people will argue, well, those are the shots he has to take because of the spacing of Orlando. And the reason why that's wrong is because Franz Wagner gets to the rim with the same spacing that Paolo has. We look at Paolo's effective field goal percentage by year. His rookie year was 46.5%. That was 10th percentile. His second year was 49.8%. That was 11th percentile. His third year was 50.4%. That was 16th percentile. His mid-range shot is below average, and it's a big part of his diet. Now we look into Franz's statistical profile. His point differential his rookie year was plus 8.8. That was 91st percentile. His second year, it was plus 9.9. That was 94th percentile. His third year, it was plus 5.3. That was 79th percentile. And this past season, it was plus 14. That was 98th percentile. How can the Magic's statistical profile be so different? They're so much better with Franz on the court. They are 14 points better with Franz on the court this past season, yet they were -3 points worse when Paolo was on the court this past season. These are just the facts of the situation, and they play in the same lineups. And in the same lineups, Franz Wagner provides positive value. And the reason for that is because he is an elite downhill scorer. He is a better playmaker. Paolo's playmaking comes from defenses collapsing and him kicking out when the ball has already stopped with him. Franz Wagner's connectivity comes from driving downhill, forcing the defense to collapse and making a higher degree of difficult passes and creating more movement offensively. And that's why I think they're better when he's on the floor offensively. And I also think Franz Wagner is a better defender. The one trait that people are going to hold over Franz's head is his 3-point shooting. And I understand that. And I don't think that his 3-point shooting is good. I think that it needs to improve. But even despite his 3-point shooting, he has been a more efficient player than Paolo Banchero. And I don't know why people only hold over Franz's head the 3-point shooting and they ignore every other aspect of his game that he does at a really high level. Yet with Paolo, they ignore the bad shot selection. They ignore the ball stopping tendencies. They ignore the average defensive play when Franz Wagner on both ends is impacting the Magic better. And that is a fact. He impacts the Magic better on both ends of the floor. That is not fallacy. That is not made up. That is a fact.
Joel, you started that beautiful soliloquy by comparing Paolo Banchero to a future Hall of Famer. A future Hall of Famer.
Play style.
Close to your heart.
Yes.
Carmelo Anthony is who you compared him to. And then you proceed to point to team politics. If somebody was drafted ahead of somebody, they would be higher on the totem pole and he would be the king of that franchise. I was going to bring up lineups before you did. Question I want to ask, I have two questions. Are you sure that they're playing in the exact same lineups all the time? Because I've never heard a team in NBA history play in the same lineups. In fact, traditionally in the NBA, when a player is better than the other one, they get put in lesser lineups. They have lesser help around them because they are better players. That is one argument. The second question I have for you. So if we're having a draft, you're starting a franchise on 2K or on in real life, you would pick Franz Wagner ahead of Paolo Banchero.
The data would lean that way. I'm not inclined to.
I'm not asking about the data. I'm asking about you. I'm asking about Joel.
Let me get this straight. This is a list of the best players, the best 25 players under 25.
Yes, correct.
I do think Franz Wagner is better than Paolo right now. I do think Paolo has a higher ceiling than Franz if he can start playing like more of a downhill force. So, yes, I think it is fair to want to build around Paolo because of the ceiling. But this list is based on right now. And right now, I do believe he is better than Paolo. And shoot me out any lineup that you want. And I'll put in their 5 versus with Paolo versus Franz, and we'll see the numbers. Name me any 5 Magic combination lineups that you want. Any of the 5, and let's see what the numbers are.
The more you make this argument, the more I am concerned about the Orlando Magic's future. You talk about Franz not being able to shoot the 3-point ball. That next to Paolo Banchero as a long-term fit scares me, especially when their finances are going to be what they are over the next several years.
This is what I have a disagreement with.
Franz is making a massive amount of money. Jalen Suggs is making $35 million this year. Desmond Bane is making almost $40 million this year. They are locked into this, and they have 2 stars that are 1A, 1B, however you want to flip-flop them, however you want, that do not fit next to each other.
Yes, and here's the thing is I don't know why these arguments, these talking points are always skewed in the favor of Paolo. Franz Wagner doesn't fit next to Paolo. Well, what about Paolo not fitting next to Franz?
You never answered my franchise question, though. You never answered it.
Yes, I did. I did answer it.
Okay, you would say Franz.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, no. Right now, Franz is a better player. Building around a franchise, yeah, I think Paolo has a higher ceiling. Okay, I think Paolo has things that are coachable and that he can improve on. So I'm not out on Paolo. It's just I don't know why the conversation with Paolo is always very positive and friendly. And with Franz, it's just the complete opposite, and it's negative. It's like he is not better than him when he is.
It's not negative around Franz. I think Franz is a great player. The only thing I question is, do they fit next to each other? Whether whoever you want to build around, the Orlando Magic, probably like every other NBA fan or media member, would rather build around Paolo Banchero. Just like you just answered, you would rather build around Paolo Banchero. It's not about being negative with Franz. The only thing I'm questioning is, do they fit with each other? We're sitting here and we're doing our jobs. We have to rank these players. We're doing it to the best of our abilities. You ranked Franz better right now than Paolo Banchero. But what I am talking about is a much bigger conversation that they are locked into this core. They made an all-in move on what most people believed was an overpay for Desmond Bane. Are they going to be okay with this core moving forward?
I think that because of Franz and Paolo, they will be. Because I think this conversation is being skewed in a way of picking one over the other. When if one of them just improves what they need to complement the other, this is going to be a dominant duo with a good supporting cast of role players. I think Franz Wagner is an all NBA player. I think Paolo Banchero is an all NBA player. And you don't just give up on one of them a few years into their career because they're not shooting as well as you'd like them to. I think that's foolish. When you have players these talented, you need to try to maximize it. So I'm using the 23-24 season because this past season was skewed with injuries for the Magic. In 23-24, when Paolo was on the court and Franz was off the court, they were minus 3.9. Keep that in mind, minus 3.9. When Franz was on the court and Paolo was on the court, they were, it's loading up right now, but this is not for me to say like this is a gotcha moment or nothing like that. This is just facts. They were plus 12.6 points better. Minus 3 versus plus 12.6. And that's with Franz on and Paolo off. So when Franz is on without Paolo on the court, the Magic are much better than when Paolo is on and Franz is off the court. And the lineups they play next to is similar. Is this lineup, does this have spacing? Like their most played lineup is Cole Anthony, Gary Harris, Franz Wagner, Jonathan Isaac, and Mo Wagner. They were plus 17.8 in 157 possessions.
I see your point with the on-off numbers. I am player for player. I don't care what the plus minus says from 2 years ago on a roster that does not. A lot of the guys you just named are not playing a role on this team. We're talking about right here, right now. I would still rather have Paolo Banchero over Franz Wagner, and it's nothing against Franz. It's nothing against his skill set. I agree. Paolo needs to improve on all the things you named. He needs to get to the basket a lot better. It is concerning that Franz statistically has outgained him in a lot of these stats, but I think it has nothing to do with team politics. It has nothing to do with him getting drafted first overall and Franz going 8th. It has nothing to do with any of that at all. All of Paolo's issues are fixable. I'm not projecting for the future. I'm projecting for right now, this season. Paolo Banchero will prove that he is a better player than Franz Wagner.
What does Paolo do better than Franz without having to project?
Isolation scoring.
Okay.
Isolation scoring. This is what I said.
Okay.
I'm not going to argue defense. I'm not going to argue getting to the rim.
Okay,
but a superstar, I want my superstar to be able and go and get it in the biggest moments, and that's what Paolo Banchero can do better than Franz Wagner.
Franz Wagner is a better rim attacker. He's a better rim finisher. He shoots the same from mid-range as Paolo. The only thing that Paolo has better is that three-point shot. Franz Wagner shoots similarly from mid-range. Add that to the list. And he's free throw shooting. Franz Wagner, I think, is a better free throw shooter as well. I have to double check that. He has been a pretty solid free throw shooter, and he's a better playmaker. I mean, Franz Wagner isn't a bad isolation scorer. So
no, he's not bad.
I just look at in ball handling, it's Franz Wagner too, because he has better handle to get to the rim. So it's just like I look at all these things that Franz does, and I just think that right now he just does them better than Paolo. And it's not saying that Paolo is not going to one day do it better than Franz Wagner or be better than Franz Wagner. Maybe the isolation scoring is going to be so far away better that he, this is who he is. The isolation scoring that he produces, Paolo does, is leading to bad offense, is leading to a negative point differential for his team when he is on the court with them. It is leading to one of the worst offenses in the NBA.
Can we bring Jamal Mosley into this? Can we bring to what the roster was into this? I think you're talking about isolation scoring. You can add 3-point shooting to the list. It's pick and choose what poison you want, Joel. You value things that I don't value as much. I want my star to be able to score in isolation and shoot from deep, and that's what he can do.
Paolo can shoot from deep, shooting
Better than
32% from the
Franz.
field.
Better than Franz.
But it's not, and Paolo shoots 72% from the free throw line. Franz shoots 87%, and he gets to the line more. And that's why he's more efficient than him. So,
Fair.
like, I don't know if it's about valuing different things. I just think the things that you think Paolo is better at, he's not actually better at than Franz.
You
That's what I
just
think.
admitted he is better in isolation than Franz right now.
Yeah, I
And
think
he
that
has better 3-point numbers than Franz, correct?
yes, but 3-point shooting isn't just that. Isolation isn't just 3-point shooting. Isolation is
I know. I'm separating the two. I'm separating the two.
if I can get to the basket better than you more consistently, then I can score one-on-one for the most part just as good, if not better than you. If I can always get to the basket.
I am separating the two. Isolation scoring. I believe that Paolo Banchero is better in a one-on-one situation than Franz Wagner right now. I believe the numbers will tell us that Paolo Banchero separately, not in isolation, in whatever circumstance you want to call it, is a better 3-point shooter than Franz Wagner right now.
Yes, he is. And I think that isolation, Paolo does have the advantage. I'm not disregarding that. But what about pick and roll ball handling? What about how you operate in the pick and roll when you actually involve your teammates? I think that Franz Wagner is much better than him at that. And we've seen players in the past, their entire games be pick and roll centric. And that is enough for them to lead an efficient offense. Like even with Paolo being a better isolation player, when Franz is on the court and Paolo is off, he is leading a high offensive rating that is better than when Paolo is on and Franz is off. So even though he's better in isolation, Franz's play style actually contributes to a better overall team offense. And that's my argument. And that's why, and for me, it's not just, we're not playing one-on-one, this is 5-on-5. And if you contribute more positively to a 5-on-5 environment, you are better in that environment.
That's a fair point. And that's why I think one thing you and I can agree on is it's not a first and a second option on this team. It is a 1A and a 1B. And we can disagree on who 1A is and who 1B is, but that is the current structure of this team.
Yes.
Okay.
And Franz is the one.
And that's just not true. Let's move on to where we at now? 5-6 for you?
We're at 5.
Okay, I'll give my 8, 7, and 6 then. So I had Şengün and Maxey at 10 and 9. At 8, I have Amin Thompson. At 7, I have Chet Holmgren. And at 6, I have Evan Mobley. And I'll go ahead and give my 5 since we already spent so much time on him. I have Paolo Banchero over Amin Thompson, over Chet Holmgren, and yes, over Evan Mobley.
Well, I disagree, of course, because I'm lower on Paolo. But Evan Mobley's at 5 for me. I not only can he drop 20 points a night and he's improved his one-on-one scoring ability, but he just won Defensive Player of the Year. This is a Defensive Player of the Year, a 10 out of 10 on defense, who is an 8 out of 10 offensively. Evan Mobley is that special. And his numbers when he actually plays center and Allen is on the bench, he's like averaging 25 and 12. Like Evan Mobley, I think he just is so gifted. And I think that his ascension could be the difference between the Cavaliers winning the championship and not. Number 4 is Jalen Williams. What he did this past season is historic. All NBA team, all defensive team, second best player on an NBA championship winning team. The numbers that he averaged were Kobe Bryant-esque when he was with Shaq. Like, that's how great of a season that J-Dub had. And I think J-Dub also fits into the mold of a player that is an elite defender who can anchor all 5 spots. He can be a point of attack defender. He can be a great help side defender. He can protect the rim even at 6'5", which is remarkable. And he is a gifted offensive player who has plus handle, can shoot the ball, and is an elite finisher around the rim. Jalen Williams, I think, is the closest thing to Kawhi Leonard since anybody. I think he's the closest guy to it. Just all NBA defensive play and a guy who's ascending offensively. And his two-way impact is just so great that I think he gets underrated because he plays for OKC. Number 3 is Cade Cunningham. Cade Cunningham is just what I want in a point guard. He's just a budding superstar if he's not already. People are calling him that now, but I think pretty soon people are going to start realizing Cade is one of the best players in the NBA. Number 2 is Victor Wembanyama. He just has to prove it for a full season. You know, I'm not denying his talent, but I don't think right now I can have him over Anthony Edwards, who has led two teams to the Western Conference Finals, who has improved his game every single year, who has been a multiple time All NBA player, who has improved his 3-point shooting to the level that he's improved it to where he's attempting 10 per game and shooting over 40% basically for most of the season on those threes. I think Anthony Edwards' development is second to none. I think his work ethic is second to none. This upcoming season, with him working on his game, the videos that I've seen, him adding a mid-range jump shot in that in-between game, I think is going to be the difference between him being an MVP caliber player and reaching that ceiling versus where he is now. And that's why Anthony Edwards, to me, I think has a real shot to win MVP next season.
Yeah, I'm really glad we got all the disagreements out of the way in that 15-8 range because we completely agree on 4 through 1. Jalen Williams at 4, Cade Cunningham at 3 for me, Victor Wembanyama at 2, and Anthony Edwards at 1. Again, if this was starting the franchise, this projection would be completely different for Victor Wembanyama. Obviously, he's going to be at 1 there. But for all the reasons you just said, yeah, I think that is a perfect top 4.
Ant-Man. I'm still deciding between my MVPs. Luka, Ant-Man, Wemby. Can't lose, man.
The list seemingly just keeps growing every week, doesn't it?
It does. Next week, I'm going to have Shea.
Ja Morant.
I don't know. Maybe, is there comeback player of the year award? They should make one.
What's he coming back from?
From not being himself since 2021.
Okay. Good play there. Good play. Corporate man Joel. That is what we will end on. That is the top 25 players under 25. Again, we excluded everybody that is 25. It was 24 and under for all the players. Joel, enjoyed it as always. Really appreciate you taking the time, bro.
Thank you for having me on.